Nintendo. It's a company known far and wide for its iconic and wacky heroes. Of course Mario's wacky. Have you ever seen a real plumber wearing overalls? Then how could we see their butt cracks? But every iconic hero needs an iconic villain, and a lot of these villains appear in many, if not all, the games in a series. I mean, I can count on one hand the number of Mario games without Bowser in them. Finger. I can count on one finger the number of games without Bowser. This means these villains become directly associated with the heroes. When you think of Mario, you probably also think of Bowser. Link fights Ganon, the Pikmin battle the food chain, and Yoshi fights the IRS. King Dedede and Meta Knight aren't even villains anymore, but the devs still find reasons for Kirby to beat the crap out of them every game. But what about everyone's favorite monkey?
Okay!
Donkey Kong's a pretty popular character. I mean, without him, Nintendo would probably still be making Ultra Hands instead of video games. So he must have a pretty popular rival as well, right? Well, looking at the past two Donkey Kong Country games, there's no common villain. In Tropical Freeze, DK fights these Arctic Vikings called the Snowmads, and in Returns, he fights Driftwood. But back in the olden days of Donkey Kong Country, there was a recurring villain, a Bowser to DK's Mario, so to speak. And he's a character that's been mostly lost in Nintendo history, at least until recently. Of course, I'm talking about King K. Rool. This banana-stealing bad guy was created by Rareware game designer Greg Mayles, and he looked like this in his concept art. Holy crap. Actually, speaking of which, his original name was Crud, and he had a wife named Queen Crap. Which is exactly what I expect from the company behind the Great Mighty Pooh.
Me.
But Mr. Videoman, I hear you say, King K. Rool was just in Smash Ultimate. This is true, however, that was nearly 6 years ago. And anyway, before he appeared in Smash Ultimate, where he's the only fun character, there was a 10-year break where Donkey Kong's main rival hadn't appeared in any game whatsoever. His last appearance before Ultimate was 2008's Mario Super Sluggers, which is peak gaming, but K. Rool decided to show up in a diaper and make everyone uncomfortable. And of course, he's been in some spin-offs throughout the years too, but if we're talking appearances as the antagonist in a mainline game, it was Donkey Kong 64 all the way back in 1999.
I've been waiting a long time.
And while I think it's fine that K. Rool doesn't appear in every game, I just think it's ridiculous that such a great villain has gone so underutilized. I mean, I'm not broken up about it or anything.
Why?
I'm just confused. Why wouldn't they use him? He's everything you could want in a villain for a children's game. Oh, sorry, I forgot my other adjective. While Bowser seeks to marry Princess Peach and rule the Mushroom Kingdom, King K. Rool really just wants to destroy the Kongs. Like, he seriously wants to kill them. In the first two Donkey Kong Country games, he's after DK's Banana Horde, potentially so the Kongs will all just starve to death according to the game's writer. And in Donkey Kong 64, he decides he's just gonna blow up the whole island. As you could probably guess, he's incredibly cruel, more so than many other Nintendo villains. Not even his minions are safe from his wrath. He all the time doles out punishment on the Kremlings, going so far as to lock up his own brother, the gigantic K. Lumsy, for refusing to destroy Kong Island. Not to mention, he's even more pompous than King Dedede, and as eccentric as they come. In each of the first three Donkey Kong Country games, he has a completely different outfit and alias. He goes from King K. Rool to Captain K. Rool the pirate, to Baron K. Roolenstein the mad scientist. This not only plays into his strange personality, but also makes these three boss fights distinct. They're also just really fun fights, especially the ones from DKC 2 and 3. Between the crazy disguises and ridiculous schemes, he's basically a cartoon character. In fact, he was in the Donkey Kong Country TV show, complete with singing and dancing.
Now that I have the power, this is my finest hour. Nothing on this earth can stop me now.
K. Rool steals the show for me, and his voice actor just nailed it. His design is the perfect blend of intimidating and goofy. Just look at these screenshots from Smash Ultimate. See what I mean? He's perfect. The gleaming gold belly armor and that one enlarged eye make for something really unique and maybe even a little deranged. Plus, he's a big old crocodilian, which apart from being a good contrast to the mammalian apes, are also like the coolest animals. And this lends heavily to the intimidating part of his design. From the snout full of long, dagger-esque teeth, to his considerable scale-laden massive body. I think I know a thing or two on the subject, cause where I grew up it's actually required by law to own at least one alligator. Aw, isn't he precious? But Clancy's on to bigger and better things now. Anyway, that's not the point. I'm just saying I'm an expert and Nintendo should listen to me. So now that we've established that King K. Rool is an objectively amazing character, yep, objectively, the question arises, why doesn't Nintendo use him more often? Well, I'm not entirely sure. But my theory is that it's because he was made by Rare, and they were acquired by Microsoft in 2001. But Nintendo still owns the rights to all the Donkey Kong characters, so it shouldn't be a problem. But it also took them like 10 years to even add Diddy Kong to Mario Kart 8, so they might just not care to include Rare characters if they can avoid it. Maybe it reminds them too much of the good times they used to have. It's a sad tale as old as time. Dad stops caring about little Timmy when his mom gets bought by Microsoft. So, what does the future have in store for old King K. Rool? Well, I'm no oracle, so I'll just say what I'd like to see. Considering it's been over 10 years since Retro Studios' last Donkey Kong Country game, I'd love to see another game to round out the Returns trilogy. Who better to bring back for a thrilling finale to this era of Donkey Kong than the big man himself, along with all the Kremlings too. I just really want to see them back in Retro's modern-style DK games, because they're just stellar platformers and even better than the originals in my opinion. That is, if they ever actually finish Metroid Prime 4. Additionally, if they ever do end up making a Seth Rogen Donkey Kong Country spin-off of the Mario movie, it'd be great to see K. Rool come back on the big screen. I mean, he'd have to be in it, because let me tell you, Tiki Tongue is not gonna cut it. I wonder who they get to voice him, though. Oh yeah, and also put him in Smash Bros. Again, and the next Mario Kart, and make a new Mario baseball game, please and thank you. I'm really not asking for much here, Nintendo, just my eternal happiness.
I'm sorry, Mr. Jenkins, but here at the law offices of Robinson and Dave, we take break room bagel theft very seriously. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to liberate your bowels from the rest of your body and promptly terminate your employment here.